So we'll get into that. But let's first start talking about Magic freaking Johnson.
Hmm.
I would love to know what you think, Big Books, but I think I know already, but you can let everybody else know what you think as well.
No, I want to hear what you think. I think
You
I'm
want to hear what you
curious.
think?
Yeah, I want to know what you know that I know that you know that I know. What you got?
I think that you are very disappointed in the way Magic Johnson has conducted himself. I think he has been petty, irresponsible, non-committal, and flat diva-ish in this whole situation.
You must be learning my ways, Brian Unique Mazique, because Brian Prometheus Unique Mazique, you must be learning my ways,
Yeah.
because I definitely there are a few people in the media that either know Magic or are just in love with Magic that he pulled the wool over their eyes. But there's a lot more people who see right through his shenanigans, and these are shenanigans.
Mhm.
So let's get into it. To recap, so he does a mediocre at best job of being president of basketball operations, right? We
Mhm.
all talked about how every single one of his moves you can kind of attack from some angle. Even the acquisition of LeBron James is a lot of speculation that he was definitely going to go there because of the stuff that you talked about.
Mhm.
Magic didn't win him over in that meeting. He was already making those preparations long before he spoke to Magic at all.
Mhm.
So Magic is getting full credit for that recruitment, and that's the best thing about Magic's reign so far. And well, after it's all said and done, he probably didn't even do that. So then you look down the line. He drafted Lonzo Ball. That hasn't turned out well yet. I think
Right.
Lonzo still has a chance to be a great player. I do appreciate the Lakers investing in him with Jason Kidd, but clearly, had he picked Jason Tatum, that would have been a much better situation, right? Like
Right.
hands down.
Oh, yeah. I think that's not even debatable.
He admitted he was wrong for getting rid of Brook Lopez. Um, that was a mistake. I think even though it's a very good argument to be made that you needed to get rid of D'Angelo Russell for the sake of that locker room.
Mhm.
I agree with that general point. I also agree that there are other people who could have said, no, we're not going to do that. All of these guys in this locker room ain't going to be here anyway. And built around D'Angelo Russell, drafted Jason Tatum and all that other stuff. But that's an alternate reality. In this reality, I don't have a problem with getting rid of D'Lo. I have a problem with the fact that he lowered D'Angelo Russell's value before he got rid of D'Lo. And as a result, did not get fair trade for a 22-year-old all-star point guard. And D'Angelo Russell wasn't an all-star point guard when he got rid of him, but he was he was looking like what he was going to be. What he turned into was not a surprise. This is what his scouting report was. And
Yeah.
point guards take 2 to 3 years to develop. So this did not come out of nowhere. D'Angelo Russell. He was a number 2 pick, great in the pick and roll. Now he's 23 years old, great in the pick and roll, all-star point guard, great shot, still tall. He's still 6'5", right? So got rid of Julius Randle for nothing. His excuse is that they weren't going to be able to resign him. He said something that I thought was interesting about that, and I really do want to go over his resume before we go over how he went out because
Okay.
it's all a part of it.
Mhm.
He said Julius Randle wouldn't have worked with LeBron James.
Mm-mm.
Why?
Mm-mm.
Because of his ability to finish? Because of
Mm-mm.
his improved dunk shot? Because of his
Mm-mm.
rebounding?
Mm-mm.
What do you think about that? Is that real? Like, we can't have Julius Randle and LeBron James. Well, you got all kinds of fools on that roster and LeBron James. You got why you can have Lance Stevenson, you can't have Julius Randle. I don't understand that.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, man, I think that while Magic knows the game, obviously,
Yeah,
right? I don't think that Magic knows how to effectively communicate with the media from that position that he was in, if that makes any sense.
that
So,
makes great sense. But here's the thing, B.
mhm,
As we move on to the rest of his resume, his job isn't necessarily to communicate with the media. He's the overseer of all operations with final say. He never has to talk to the media. He just has to recruit those other players. He doesn't have to endear the media to the Los Angeles Lakers. They're fine. Like, literally, the Los Angeles Lakers were an okay product, and everybody was putting them in the Western Conference Finals before LeBron James got hurt. So the Lakers, if they win games, will be fine. They don't need good PR from Magic Johnson.
Well, I think he in a sense, I think he was kind of set up to play a role that I said this. I believe that Magic, the purpose of Magic Johnson being brought to the Lakers back as an executive was to lure LeBron James and other big time free agents. That was it. That was the point. You know, that was the point. And I think that they felt that they could parade him out there, have him lead these recruiting parties and calls, and that people will go, man, I'm just honored to be wooed by Magic Johnson. He gets it. And if he's the figurehead, then this is a great introduction to us. Now, whether or not that was needed or necessary or not, I feel like that's why he was put into that position.
Well, so I think that if that was what was happening, that would have made sense. Unfortunately, he was given ultimate final say.
That was my next point.
And here's the conflict. And this is an on-paper conflict that's Jeannie Buss's fault. And he called her out for this and threw her under the bus.
A big bus. I'm talking about one of them at buses that they build the extension on the back. He threw her under one of those.
So you don't give someone final say if they are a part-time person, because there's no way. And here's the thing: even people who don't like Rob Pelinka say he's a hard worker, right? So there's no way him and the various members of that team who are there every single day are going to accept Magic's decisions without any pushback, because they're literally putting in the work to have evidence to question him. That's just how no matter who he was and who they were. If you have a part-time overseer and a full-time high-level staff, that high-level staff is going to push against the overseer because they're going to say, well, you don't know about this element of it. Right?
Yeah.
So, and he, even by his account, experienced some pushback. His account is not that they said, you can't fire Luke Walton no matter what. We're taking the power away from you. They said, let's have a conversation about it. Let's talk more about it. And he went, wah, I'm going home. How did he do that? And real quick on Rob Pelinka, everybody's saying Rob Pelinka's an agent. Like, he doesn't know anything about basketball. I don't know what he knows in his decision-making and all that stuff. He has not expressed those opinions and given us clue into his basketball mind. But I think someone who's a Division I athlete is it's like a dangerous conclusion to jump to, that he's just an agent who got in there by popularity contest.
Yeah, you know what? I think it's also a very interesting dynamic with this whole thing is that, like, it's funny because I remember Rob Pelinka as a player.
Yeah.
I couldn't stand him because I couldn't stand him because I thought he was the weak link of my Fab Five squad. Michigan, that was my, I love, let me explain something to you. I love the Fab Five like I love Derrick Rose. That's to the level of my fandom, right? I hated every time Rob Pelinka was on the court. Every single time. But you know what I think is a very
except for them 3-pointers he was hitting against North Carolina, right? You like
he
that?
Didn't hit very many big three. I watched like the whole season, and Rob Pelinka frustrated the bejesus out of me most seasons. Like, why are you out there? Get Jalen out there. Get off the floor. Where's Jimmy?
Yeah,
it was terrible. But I think it's an interesting dynamic, right? Because it's almost like the generations of Laker greats are battling here. And Rob Pelinka's in the middle because Rob is Kobe's guy. You know, he's his agent. He's his guy. That's his guy, his friend too. And Magic now can't stand him. And now there's this huge division in the Laker, amongst the Laker legends. You know what I would love? What were we going to say?
Okay, you said Magic can't stand him.
Yeah.
This is part of my issue with the whole thing. All reports directly from Rob Pelinka's mouth and other reports confirming this say that before Magic Johnson got up on First Take and threw everybody under the bus, they were laughing and joking and celebrating the fourth pick, him and Rob Pelinka. So They weren't at war. That's the thing. If they were at war and Rob Pelinka was constantly undercutting Magic Johnson the way we heard, and it was some Game of Thrones thing, and he was constantly talking bad about Magic Johnson, that would be one thing. But if that was happening, then how is it you are saying that you didn't have a bad relationship with Rob, and then after you done threw these guys under the bus the first time, they welcomed you back, and you hanging out with them talking about the fourth pick, you're back in the family, you're just not in that role anymore, all sins are forgiven. And then you go and do this. And before he did that, they asked him repeatedly, is there anything else we should know about this? Do you have any other disgruntled feelings? Is there anything we need to do PR-wise? And he was like, no, 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 it's totally cool. And then he completely blindsides them on first take. Again, if Rob Pelinka was his mortal enemy and they were just constantly undermining each other, that would be one thing. What are we hearing? That Magic was never around because he was doing other stuff. Not calling him lazy. He's Magic Johnson. He's accomplished a lot of great, great things in his life. But for this job, he wasn't around to do the work necessary to get it done. The people who were doing the work necessary are saying, where's Magic sometime? And by the way, if he's saying, is Magic around in the office, everybody in that office knows Magic's not there. It's not like Rob Pelinka saying, leak to the media that Magic's not around. That never happened. That didn't happen until Magic was on the way out. Right? So
Right.
my thing is, in the corporate world, that is such light work. That is really such light work. Like, in terms of workplace drama, is that a reason to like leave a team and stop doing your job? That's a reason to have a conversation with Rob and be like, hey, I'm hearing some chirping, man to man, face to face, what's going on? Because if you have a problem with it, this is the agreement me and Jeannie have. And there's no telling whether or not she got Rob on board with that agreement. She might have lied to Rob outright and been like, and soft sold it. Oh, Magic will be around. He's going to put in plenty of time to do the work. And then all of a sudden he's not around. We don't know that. So even what Rob is being accused of from Magic's own mouth is not backstabbing. He didn't, again, Phil Jackson to his own players go to the media and say nasty things to undercut them. That's not what was happening with Rob Pelinka. You talk about he ran around the office asking, where's Magic? Implying that Magic wasn't around enough. Well, you know what? You weren't. You suck at this. Like, he's right. You are trash at this job. There's not one move you did on the Lakers that I'm like, thank God Magic did that. Like, literally not one.
What you just said sounded like you was in the middle of an intervention with some deadbeat father. You weren't around and you suck. I had a soccer game, Dad. I had a soccer game. And you suck because you weren't there.
You did this.
You did this. You did this to us. And then his dad go.
So my thing is, by Magic's own account, you didn't show up often and on time. You didn't do a great job. You admitting to some of the mistakes. We disagree on other mistakes, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm taking that LeBron thing off your plate. If people going to shadowbox Kobe's first 3 championships, I'm definitely shadowboxing LeBron James joining the Lakers for Magic Johnson when he already did all the stuff necessary to join the Lakers before he had a conversation with you. I ain't sorry. You get 30% credit at best. Gave away D'Angelo Russell for nothing. Gave away Julius Randle for nothing. Gave away Brook Lopez for nothing. And then, what did you do? You signed JaVale McGee, Rajon Rondo, and Lance Stevenson to a bunch of one-year contracts instead of getting anyone who could shoot. Just literally anyone who could. In fact, I think every player he let go could shoot, and every player he acquired couldn't shoot. What is happening? And by the way, nobody goes into the Contavious Caldwell Pope thing, right? Like,
yeah.
Who gave him that contract? I don't know whose watch that was on.
I think that was just before Magic.
Was that just before Magic?
Yeah, it was just before Magic.
Well, people double check on that.
So
because you also didn't even try to get rid of that contract. You're like, no, we love KCP, and then you never play him.
Well, okay, so I haven't said much during this segment. And the reason being,
let it go.
The reason being is because I don't disagree with most of what you're saying. Yeah. I don't think that Magic did a great job. I don't. I think he bit off more than he can chew. But I don't think all of the blame goes on him. I think a lot of it goes on Jeannie because I don't think Jeannie really knows what she's doing.
Agreed.
And I think she got caught up in stargazing, so to speak, and it's LA, and that's where she was raised, and the whole nine. And this is my Laker franchise, and it's supposed to be like this. And I need to make splash hirings, and I did it. I got Magic, and Magic's gonna come in, and now they're gonna take us serious. They're gonna take me serious, and she didn't think this thing through. I'm giving Magic Johnson final approval. Is Magic Johnson qualified to have final approval on personnel decisions? Is he? And I don't think that question was really run through a filter properly. And because if you ask basketball people who are veteran front office people, does Magic appear to fit the mold of a person who would succeed in this role, especially considering all of his other business interests and all of the other things that are occupying his time? I think most people would have said, I don't know if that's the right move.
Especially since the Lakers were in the talent acquisition business from a draft standpoint, that takes a lot of work. That was one of the Knicks' mistakes. We got lucky that Phil Jackson drafted Porzingis, but he wasn't going to put in the work to be there watching everybody. Whereas in this, we've generally drafted Frank Ntilikina might be our only bad draft pick in a while. But in the case of Magic Johnson, the Lakers really have struck out overall in the draft because when they sign good players, they didn't know they had good players, and then they keep in the players that look like they might not be good players. So, and I agree with you in terms of blame. It all goes to Jeanie. But while we're on the subject,
I don't think it all goes to Jeanie.
No, partially,
yeah.
Right? The Lakers are a mess, so everybody can get a piece of this. But the thing about it is, and injuries. To be fair, they were the 4th seed before before LeBron James got hurt.
Yes.
So it's not like I don't think the Lakers are a total disaster. I think Magic was a total disaster. The Lakers, as I've been saying all season, can be fine if they do a couple of things right. I think their biggest problem, similar to Boston, is that their environment is overly panicking about everything that's not right with the franchise. Everything that's not perfect gets blown out of proportion. When you could tweak and fix this very easily. You're a player or two away from being in a good place, but you acting like the house is on fire.
I think that Magic did have some benefits of being there, but I think he was given too much responsibility at the beginning, and I believe that once they started to see that was a mistake, they started to try to peel back on it, which then went against the agreement that you gave him from the beginning, that you should have never given him to begin with. The other thing is, I'm going to say this. I think it's true. I think Magic is unprofessional.
Super unprofessional.
Right.
So
I think. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, on the last thing about his GMing thing, another mistake that people don't attribute to him is you either fire. Actually, I've been saying this all year. Either you fire Luke Walton and get your guy, or you get behind Luke Walton. One of the biggest mistakes the Lakers made this year is they weren't behind Luke Walton. So you had half the Lakers team doing one thing and half the Lakers team doing the other thing. It looked very much like there was a LeBron team and a Luke Walton team.
Yeah, and
they were both okay.
Right, and I think that we see, even though I was in the camp of people who lambasted them for this, but the Chicago Bulls organization, I can't even believe this is coming out of my mouth. They got behind Jim Boylan.
Yeah.
They got behind him. And I mean, there was flat player mutiny happening.
Right.
And they got behind him and like, this is our guy.
And I think that's a proven move to work.
Yeah.
When your players are rebelling against the coach. We end up with
the freaking 7th pick in the draft, because the Bulls could have finished this season much worse, but they started to play better late because the players were like, Zach was the first one. And Zach was the de facto star of the team. And when he started to buy in, so everybody else came with him.
And what happened with the Bulls? They were like, wah. He made us run barefoot sprints in the snow. Yeah. And ownership said, so what? How many laps he made you run? Yeah. Did you finish?
Yeah.
And they had to go back and be basketball professionals.
Yeah.
They didn't do that on the Lakers. They let Magic rips this guy publicly. Players are undermining him on the court. And there are players clearly that like Luke Walton. and he was really good with the media. Most people like Luke Walton,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Most people
Personally.
think he's a nice guy, just period.
So some of the players who were younger when he got there have a certain loyalty to him. So it's not like the players had an overall mutiny. You just see these shifts. Magic has his relationship with Luke. LeBron has his relationship with Luke, and it's just a mess. If they would have either gotten Luke out of there, get your guy, and let's do this your way, or get behind Luke fully until you release him, you would have gotten a better result. So then we go to the unprofessionalism of this whole thing. So Magic quits with no notice to anyone, right? He literally had the job while he was telling the media that he quit, to Jeannie's mind. That happens the first time. And then the second time, he goes in and starts singing like a canary for no reason other than to save the perception of his brand.
Yeah.
And the thing is, he puts on the Magic Johnson smile. He's got tears in his eyes. He says the word Lakers 15 times every single sentence, all while doing things that do nothing but hurt the Lakers. It was extreme. Like, they call him Rob Pelinka Two-Face, and that's probably true. If so many people are saying it, maybe it is. I don't know. But I tell you what, the most two-faced person in all of this, by far, was Magic Johnson. If I was his friend and I was involved in this, I'd be extremely tight at how he was. And you can see it in LeBron, where he's just like, why are you big-timing everybody saying I'm going to do this my way, being, crappy about it for no reason? There's no reason to be this unprofessional and crappy. What are you trying to get out of this, that you're approaching it this way? And if you look at the reactions of everyone, nobody knows why Magic is coming at it from this angle, being this unprofessional about it.
Right, and I do think it's a little bit bewildering for sure. But then again, it's not. It's not, because like something you were saying, the Magic Johnson smile and stuff. People don't realize Magic's a killer. Magic's he's always been that way, right? Like early on in his basketball career, when he got Paul Westhead fired, things weren't going the way he wanted, and he manipulated that situation and got that coach out of there. It worked out. Pat Riley came in. But this is his mentality. This is what he will do when it's not going his way. So I think I don't, like I said, I don't disagree too much.